as Shirley Muldowney advances into the semifinal, picks up some very valuable points, and of course she's now running the car and driver that is right behind her in that Winston points chase. Shirley Muldowney against Mark Oswald in the semifinals. We'll be back with more action in Top Fuel Eliminator here at the inaugural North Star Nationals at Brainerd International Raceway in just a moment.
On my mind, for the one on me, to the one who stoned me once, she's a friend of mine. Take it easy, take it.
Back at Brainerd International Raceway for the inaugural Quaker State North Star Nationals, we have one pair remaining in the first round of Top Fuel Eliminator, and I'll tell you, we're saving the best for last. The number one qualifier is Gary Beck, and he'll be racing this man out of Bakersfield, California, Doug Kerhulis. Kerhulis moved into the National Event Trail this season, has done an outstanding job in qualifying because this is one of the more difficult fields to make the program. Kerhulis qualified number 5 in an outstanding 5.75 seconds elapsed time, but that's an entire tenth of a second slower than Gary Beck. And a tenth of a second from the vantage point at the finish line, you would find, is a tremendous distance in space as far as the separation between the cars as they go across the finish line. Kerhulis on his burnout, first out of the water. And Gary Beck, I don't think having any problems. He's getting ready to move up into the water area as our vantage point high atop this racetrack allows us a view that we can see from starting line to finish line as Gary Beck, with the number one qualifier, comes bouncing to a stop. Those big rubber tires, they're 18 inches wide, acting like a rubber ball almost.
And these chassis are so flexible that you'd think they might snap, but they need that flexibility to handle all the stress that the motor of 2,500 horses puts on it. You know, Gary Beck is coming off a win at the Popular Hot Rodding Championships where he matched his 565 performance and ran 249 miles an hour.
Gary has, of course, the low ET ever set in championship drag racing back last season at the Winston World Finals out in Orange County of a 557. And since that time, everybody has been looking for him to equal it, but it's very difficult on those picture-perfect runs to come up with them with any consistency. Doug Kerhulis is hoping that he will have a picture-perfect run because he's going to need it against Gary Beck. He finished number 2 in the world last season. Less than 30 points separated him from Jeb Allen, and he came within 2.5 miles an hour, believe it or not, of winning the Winston World Championship title.
And Kerhulis is going to try and dump the number one qualifier. And you know, Beck has been having all kinds of problems this year. He's qualified well, but many races, until last week, he wasn't getting past first round. In fact, he's 10th in the standings right now in the Winston World Cup Championship points.
Beck won the U.S. Nationals title, one of the most prestigious ever, 2 times in a row, back in 1972 and 1973. And in 74, he won the Winston World Champion title. So he knows what pressure's about, and he knows what the winner's circle looks like. And he wants in there again, and he smokes the tires, going up in smoke. Watch closely. He backpedals and pulls it out at the finish line. It is Gary Beck winning it. A tremendous charge of 5.76 seconds at 241 miles an hour. You saw Beck lose traction at the starting line. He recovered and still drove around Doug Kerhulis, who ran 243 miles an hour, but just did not have the elapsed time. A 586 or a 585 rather for Kerhulis, not sufficient. As we look at it again, you can see just off the starting line, Beck up in smoke. He recovers quickly. The car locks itself back to the ground, and watch him just pull away from Doug Kerhulis. Kerhulis trying his best at 243 miles an hour, and thereby a car length is Gary Beck the winner.
And again, about a tenth of a second, and you can see that it's over a car length at the finish line. And Beck did a tremendous job. You know, these cars only have 2 speeds, fast and faster. And the thing is that a lot of times what will happen is they'll see or feel the car shaking and getting in loose, and they'll just pop it early, go into high gear, and that's exactly what happened.
So that completes the first round of Top Fuel Eliminator. What we can look for in the next round is the matchups between Gary Beck and Joe Amato. But, of course, the number 1 and 2 points leaders in the Winston World Championship Series, Shirley Muldowney against Mark Oswald.
Life in the fast lane. Life in the fast lane. Everything, all the time. Life in the fast lane.
superlative performances at this first ever North Star Nationals, and probably the most breathtaking of them all is the 256-mile-an-hour run by the Candies and Hughes car. Here is Marty.
The current performance king in Top Fuel belongs to this man, car owner Paul Candies of the Candies and Hughes Special. Paul, what are you guys doing? You own the world record, a mark that stood since October of 1975, and now here you've run 256.
Well, we've run 250 at almost every racetrack we've raced at this year. Combination's really working good. New driver, new crew, and of course, old Leonard Hughes is probably the king of making horsepower. Our sponsors have really worked well with us here. The Goodyear people have got us a great set of tires now, and we've seen them getting some of our power to the ground. We had a little problem so far this week. Even at the 256, we kind of smoked the tires a little. I think the car run that fast. Maybe even run faster in a really first-rate racetracks. We can probably run that fast. We've run 23 at 24 runs this year in excess of 250 miles an hour. So the secret of the thing is just make a run on all 8 cylinders, not burn a lot of stuff up, and good crew.
What about some of the inside secrets, though? I mean, I know you don't want to give away anything, but what are you doing different that some of the other drivers aren't getting as far as mile an hour?
Oh, I think the secret of our car running good is Leonard is so talented as a mechanic. It runs on 8 cylinders all the time, and it doesn't burn itself all up before we get to the end of the racetrack. It's, as we say, they run a lot better on fuel than they do on aluminum.
And Mark Oswald's a hungry driver.
Mark's a hungry young driver, and we're glad to have him aboard.
Well, listen, continued success. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
One of the great gentlemen in the sport of drag racing, Paul Candies, out of Des Allemands, Louisiana, and I'll tell you, there's a lot of people here at Brainerd International Raceway that's having a great time. We hope you're enjoying all the action. We'll be coming right back with the Pro Comp semifinals. Don't you go away.
Take it to the limit. Take it to the limit. Take it.
At Brainerd International Raceway, we're back with our continuing coverage here on ESPN of the North Star Nationals. I'm Dave McClelland, along with Marty Reed and Carl Olson, and we hope you're enjoying all the excitement of championship drag racing. There is a race within a race here, not only for the North Star Nationals title, but also continuing to mount points leading to the Winston World Championship crown at the end of the year. Currently, Shirley Muldowney is number 1. Right behind her is Mark Oswald, driving the Candies and Hughes car. In 3rd spot is Lucille Lee. Number 4, the defending champion, Jeb Allen. And in the 5th spot is Gary Beck. In 6th, you see Jody Smart, then Dwight Salisbury, Jim Bernard, and Joe Amato tied for 8th, and Gary Beck bringing up the number 10 spot. You saw number 3 in the point standing at the moment is Lucille Lee, but she did not make this program here at the North Star Nationals, and that could be very, very costly to her in her World Championship points chase. Marty has the story.
One of the biggest surprises at this year's North Star Nationals is the fact that the number 3 leader in the point standings, Lucille Lee, did not qualify for the event. What happened?
Well, I just think that we came here with a whole lot of power. We tried something different, I think, on the first run yesterday, and hurt the engine real bad in the second run. Today we definitely had the power, but with the wheels coming up with the last qualifying run, put some more weight on it for this one. And I just think maybe just got overpowered. I don't know. It's a good track.
You're 460 points behind going into this event, not qualifying now with only 3 races to go. You got to play a lot of catch-up.
Well, actually, we had to drop one more race for the Winston points. So this is the race that we have to waive our points on, and we got no points. So
you still feel pretty good about it?
Well, I don't like not qualifying. This is the first NHRA event that I've been to that I haven't qualified at, and race day is always the best day, so I'm pretty disappointed about that. But as far as points go, we would still have to drop a race anyway and waive our points, so I guess this is a race to do it at.
Okay, thanks for talking to us. Good luck at the next event.
Thank you.
Nitro burning engines, fiberglass bodies, 2,500 horsepower, 250 miles an hour. The battle of the funny cars. A weekend of record-shattering performances here at Brainerd International Raceway. Not only on the racetrack, but in the thousands of campers that have jammed the area. The largest crowd in the history of this 468-acre facility. I'm Dave McClelland, and we hope you will enjoy what you're going to see. That is championship drag racing at its finest. The finest cars from throughout the United States, as far north as Canada, have jammed into Brainerd International Raceway for this inaugural North Star Nationals. Marty?
Dave, it's an awesome sight when they close that fiberglass shell down over the driver, and there's 2,500 horsepower sitting in his lap, literally waiting to go screaming almost 250 miles an hour down the quarter mile. Dave?
As they scream through that quarter mile, Marty, it's only 1,320 feet long. We have stationed at the end of the racetrack a man that has been over the race course at over 230 miles an hour. He is a former Top Fuel champion. He will be bringing you the action from the end of the racetrack, and that is Carl Olson.
Thank you, Dave. As I stand here in the shutoff area at beautiful Brainerd International Raceway, I'm impressed not only with the gorgeous weather today, but the excellent racing conditions. And we'll be looking for mechanical failures here in the shutoff area and be talking to the drivers as they work their way through eliminations. Back to you, Dave.
Carl, we're just about ready for the start of eliminations. Right now, though, let's meet up with Marty Reed, who had a chance to talk with the number one leader in points in funny car, Frank Hawley.
One of the stories here at the North Star Nationals is the fact that Don Prudhomme is not here at the North Star Nationals. He got himself into a contractual agreement situation with a track out on the West Coast, and he had to go there or else he would have been sued. He loses points, but it's a big break for you, Frank Hawley. You're currently leading the Winston World Cup by just 86 points.
Yeah, it's a real close battle. There's four cars, us, Billy Myers, Don Prudhomme, and Raymond Beadle, and we're on top because, the race we won last weekend. And this is going to be a real deciding factor for, whether we're even going to go to the West Coast.
You're not one of the high-dollar operations. Did you believe at the beginning of the year that you'd be at the top of the heap with only 3 events to go?
It's surprising. I think we're getting a lot of help from above or something because it's been a tough road to travel, and we have to run a lot of smaller races to help fund, racing at the larger events. And the car come out of the box at the first of the year run really fast. So, we didn't have any reason to doubt it.
As it looks right now with the hat and the shirt, it looks like you found a few sponsors because of your performance.
Yeah, it helps out a lot, and there's companies that are willing to, advertise on the car, and they get a lot of publicity like you fine people out here today.
Good luck to you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Marty, and we're set to go with the first round of Funny Car Eliminator. And these 2,500 horsepower rockets with their fiberglass bodies getting the final touches by their respective crews. In the near lane will be Kenny Bernstein, the Budweiser King, driving his car out of Dallas, Texas. The crew making the final adjustments necessary. Bernstein encased in the roll cage, patiently waiting, as all race drivers do. It's kind of like the Army, I guess. You hurry up and wait, as Al Segrini is doing the same thing as he watches his crew make the final adjustments to his car.
And it's the hardest part for a driver because all he is, he's sitting in there and he's waiting, he's strapped in. There is not a single thing he can do. He's at the mercy of that little starter motor, and if it turns over.
The bodies, as you see, are raised to allow the access to the engines. The bodies are completely dismountable. Another pin in the back holds them down in the back. The crew, when they work on them between rounds, can lift them off. The signal just went out to start them up. They squirt a little gasoline into the injectors. They spin over the electric starter that is attached to the supercharger. It, in turn, turns the crankshaft, and all of a sudden, 2,500 horsepower plus spring to life in the funny car of Kenny Bernstein.
And it really took a He-Man performance to just qualify for this field. The fastest 8-car show in NHRA history. Al Segrini at a 591 was the low qualifier, and Tom Anderson, the number 8 qualifier, ran a 611. So you had to be very quick to make this field.
One of the most popular types of drag racing cars in the history of the sport has become these nitro-burning funny cars. As the two cars come out of the water and do their burnouts, I'll guarantee you there is not an eye in this massive facility that is not directed towards the quarter-mile racing service, with Kenny Bernstein, the Budweiser King, up against the Super Brute Special of Al Segrini. Texas versus Massachusetts. It used to be that the West Coast, California, was the hotbed of drag racing, but I tell you, anywhere you go today, the parts are available, the pieces, and the talent is available to make these cars perform regardless of where you live.
This is an extremely important race for both drivers. Kenny Bernstein trails Frank Hawley in the points by 1,500. He knows that he has to win 2 of the final 4 national events to have a shot at the national championship.
Bernstein finished number 3 in the world last season. He's sort of knocked on that door for several times.